I'm Nick Berry. Yeah, there you go. Don's filling a spot that Sarah Moore was going to take, but she is sick and couldn't attend. So Don thankfully stepped in and said he'd jump in. Don, tell us a little bit about what Peak Inbound Marketing is.
Well, we're a digital marketing agency that is focused on lead generation. So we're an inbound agency, which means we follow the the inbound methodology, with probably most people are familiar with it because of HubSpot. So HubSpot has a lot of that methodology. And for me, it made a lot of sense because I come from a direct mail background. So I did 20 years of direct mail, big publishing companies, $12 million budgets, big stuff back in the 80s and 90s. And then I was in the magazine business in the mid 90s. And I was a circulation director, so doing a lot of direct mail to acquire subscribers to the magazine. And then in the mid 90s, the internet started up, and they said to me, well, we have this website, figure out how to make money with it. So the thing that was good about that for me in terms of like kind of learning this stuff is being able to do everything early in the trenches and, be there from the beginning before there was Facebook and Twitter and even Google, and trying to still monetize stuff. So my company, because of my background in direct marketing, my company is really focused on audience first. So whenever we meet with our end goal is to generate leads, but whenever we meet with a company, we talk first about audience and who they're trying to target, who they're trying to reach. Sometimes we even help them segment or figure out what those different personas are like and how we're going to approach that. So a big part of what we do is SEO and content. Those are our two probably biggest kind of tasks or things we do for our clients. But a lot of it is really focused on strategy first. So the kind of the SEO, the content, social media, websites, email, those are all tools, marketing automation, those are all tools for us to execute a direct marketing strategy, really. So, that's kind of, and I think that differentiates us to a small degree. Better SEO and digital marketing companies do similar stuff to what we do. But a lot don't. So I think that's one of the things that really separates us.
Nice. How did going from publishing and direct marketing through direct mail, basically,
yeah,
did you find that transition to the internet easy, or was that something that it took a while to learn?
Well, I was a geeky guy. I used to build my own computers back in the day when they used to have the old computer fairs, and probably before you guys were out of diapers, but back in the 80s, you used to be able to go to a college and buy the parts and put your computer together. Back in the days of floppy disks and 286s and 386s and all that kind of fun stuff, when computers were really, really slow. So the digital stuff of it intrigued me. I was already online with before the web, really, with bulletin board systems. So I used to dial in for games and little ASCII games and text-based games, and different communities had message boards back then. But I think the actual execution of the digital marketing is still very much like traditional direct marketing. You're targeting an audience. You're hoping that you're going to have a strong offer that's going to marry up with what that audience is looking for. And you're doing a lot of testing. So direct marketing, even SEO with content, is testing. So, we go for a certain set of keywords, and if we can't get any traction with those, then we say, well, why isn't this working? And we look at it and we adjust it, and then we try it again and see if we can make a difference. So it's a lot of that, strategy, execute, evaluate, and then do it again, basically.
Cool. All right, awesome. What do you think the biggest misconception business owners have of SEO?
That it's snake oil. And unfortunately, there are some unsavory SEO companies out there who will kind of take your money and not really do anything. Or maybe, change a few title tags and walk away and, things like that. And we run into that a lot. And so when I talk to a prospect or somebody, or I'm just explaining what we do, we really do kind of focus on that strategy of really targeting the marketing message and showing them that here are the SEO things that we're going to do and here's why we're going to do them. And having those things that are happening on every month and being able to report on that kind of stuff and have the metrics to show as well is very important. So
awesome. So you got a new hustler. He's building this site on his own. He's doing all this stuff. What's something that they can check to see if their site's a piece of shit or not?
Well, they could check if they have Google Analytics. They can look at Google Analytics first and see, just look and see how much traffic am I getting. If you go down into, it's on the Google Analytics menu, if you go to acquisition, that shows you can click into, okay, you see the different channels that traffic is coming from. So how much of my traffic is coming from organic? That's the Google search that's not paid. How much of my traffic is coming from social media? How much is direct? Direct is basically any traffic that doesn't have referrer information. So a lot of times you get email traffic pulling in there and other things. It's kind of the black hole of Google Analytics. But understanding where that traffic's coming from will show you where you're strong or weak and what content are people going to. How many are you getting from your website? That's another, am I getting 1,000 people a month to my site and no leads? Then you probably have an issue with conversion optimization. But it really is, you got to focus on people's problems and how you solve them. What are the problems you solve for your clients? One thing I always tell every small business, I do a lot of small business networking here in New Jersey. And whenever I meet somebody, I always tell them, look, just make a list of every question a prospect or a client has ever asked you. Do it over a couple of weeks on a pad of paper. I said, in 2 weeks, you're going to have 50 pieces of content that you can now create by answering those questions in a blog post. So a blog post is just like any other page of your website. It's a page that Google sees and evaluates. So if you have all these questions, probably a lot of them are asked by many people who meet you. And so all those questions, if people aren't meeting you and they're on the internet somewhere and haven't met you yet, they're asking Google those questions. So when you provide the answer to that question, you have a better chance of showing up in the search results and getting that person to your website and, helping them out and giving them some answers to their first question, which is a good first step.
I like that. And I do these aren't my original questions. These are from Todd Giannatagio. I'm not that original. I crowdsource my questions. But I like that. So what would you say? Content and SEO go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, without a doubt, because if you don't have if I'm a fishing pole company and I sell fishing poles, but I have no content on my website about fishing lures, I'm never going to rank for fishing lures. So you can't rank for what you don't have on your site. And it's also important to have individual pages for different subjects. So if you have fishing poles and fishing lures and fishing line, those should each have their own pages, because it's going to be a lot harder for them to, really focus and answer a specific question about fishing line if everything on your page talks about fishing poles. That's a very, very oversimplification of it, but you need to have the content that if you want people to find you.
So what was the story on Peak Inbound? Did it just you just decide, fuck it, I don't want to work for a big company anymore?
Well,
how did you end up?
Yeah, I was working for a medium publisher, a regional publisher here in New Jersey. I was there for 16 years. Like I said, I was there at the beginning of the internet. And as the 90s kind of came to an end and the 2000s started, and we started seeing a lot of things popping up, like Craigslist and Yelp and all these areas that were kind of eating our lunch. And I would go in and talk to the people and say, hey, we should do this. Hey, we should do that. and was not able to make a lot of progress in terms of, my ideas of where I thought we should be going. And I was running the traditional, at the time I was running the traditional print circulation department and the internet department, which got, didn't get huge, but we had a person full time, and we were doing more and more work with apps and newsletters and ad sales and all this kind of stuff. But I was unhappy. I got to a point where I was about to turn 50. I'm 54 now. I got to a point where I was about to turn 50, and I said, this job is good. I get paid very well. It's a 9 to 5. I don't think about it after 5 o'clock. I don't think about it on the weekends. I had a pretty good life. 3-4 weeks paid vacation, good salary. And I just got so frustrated with the lack of growth on the digital side because I knew it was the future of media. And I said, I gotta go. I gotta do something else. And I took a couple of other jobs, real short term, 6 months. They didn't work out. And I just decided I'm gonna try and start something on my own. And I was lucky enough where, my wife has a very good job. She's a nurse here in New Jersey, has health insurance, good salary, can keep us afloat for a few months. So I had the luxury of, not having that pressure of, having to have a client in the first, 3 months or whatever. I could sit out in the back by my pool that summer and do work, but not really. It wasn't work like it is work now.
Yeah. Not 12 hours staring at your guitars.
No. And, and it's tough. And you guys know it's starting any business on your own is really, really hard work. And most people don't have a lot of success in the first 6 months of the first year. And it can be really depressing and it can really rip your soul out. But you've just gotta, you have to have the stomach for it. You really have to be, willing to plow through some shit, Yeah.
On a personal thing, you do this, what I think is really awesome. You do a song every day on video on Facebook.
Right.
How did you just decide I'm going to sing a song every day for a year?
Well, I have my home office here. I have 7 people on my team, but they're all distributed. Everybody's all over the place. So I don't really have an office, kind of like Clay, which I see that office. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. But then I'm like, I don't want to pay the rent. I don't really need people here. So, but the result is, I have my you guys can't see it, but here I'm in my office room, and the other half is my guitar is hanging on the wall, my amp and everything. And so I got through, it got to a point where I was like, when was the last time I actually picked up a guitar? And I've been playing guitar since I was a little kid. I'm not very good, but I enjoy it. So I said, I got to do something because I'm working these crazy hours. Excuse me. I got to do something that, gets me back playing the guitar. So I said, all right, well, what if I said, I did something on Facebook, some song, I forgot what. And I said to people, well, if I did this every day, would you watch it? And I got 150 people responded. And I said, okay, well, give me, what songs would you want to hear? I started out with 45 requests. So, and I know my voice is not good. My guitar playing's okay. I'm better as a second guitar, like a rhythm guitar player in a band. I do great there, but by myself, it really shows the lack of talent and skill. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it. I've done some other things over my life in, long periods of time and committed to things and been able to always plow through them. I'm pretty, when I set my mind to something, I'm pretty, focused on making sure that it happens. So,
I enjoy it.
See, and I love them. They're a great, it's a nice daily ritual thing for you. And every time I see them, and I love that you're like, man, I'm not very good, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Because I think there's an aspect of not being very good and doing it anyways. I think that I might love the most. It's like, I'm not become famous. I'm doing this because I enjoy it. And I think that's why I enjoy watching them.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a lot of the appeal. So the other thing is I don't practice it. So it's like I pick a song, I look it up, I put it on my computer in front of me, so I have the lyrics and the guitar chords, and I just play it. So unless it's something I'm not familiar with, like I've done requests for like Ariana Grande, I never listen to that, so I have to listen to that first. But other than that, I'm just kind of going for it. That's why a lot of times you'll see me stop in the middle, or it doesn't sound so great because I don't really know the song that well.
Todd had a good question. What are some tips for plowing through the shit? I mean, I'm assuming when getting started out.
Yeah, I mean, I still do it. I think I personally battle with that every day, just in terms of, kind of getting things done. I've got a list of tasks on my Asana right now that's probably, that I'm supposed to have done tomorrow at end of day for like 50 tasks, which I know are not going to happen, but I got to keep them there. But it's just kind of put your head down. And then, you also, and, people say, don't get too high, don't get too low. It's impossible to control that, first of all, I think.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, I've had in the past couple of weeks, and okay, so like last month, July, I got my, accounting numbers. It was my best month in 3 years. It started 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. It was my best month so far. But I still had a conversation with a client who was kind of complaining about something, and I got off the phone and I felt like, is this really worth it do I even want to do this anymore? So you go through it even when things are going well, and you just gotta, I think it's good to have those feelings and kind of be aware of them, and try to, it's I guess it's a little flip to say just, get past it, but you really don't, you got to focus on the good and look at what you've done and what you've accomplished. Everybody's accomplished something, and take that little thing and use that when you start to have those doubts.
Like that. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, no one really talks about the downside of being an entrepreneur enough.
No.
Of owning a business, of going, fuck, what am I doing?
Yeah, when was the last time you met somebody at a networking thing and they said that things were going shitty?
Yeah.
Everybody's business is always going great.
Yeah.
It's like, and we all do it. I do it, but you really, and I said this to Sarah at one point. She had posted something on Facebook about she was kind of like doubting herself and stuff. And I was like, dude, you've got more balls than 99% of the people. The fact that you're even doing this shows that. So, you have it in you. You can do it. You've already done it. You just got to kind of, go through this little patch and come out the other side, I think.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's, well, like Gary Vee says, you got to eat shit for 10 years before it matters.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, well, you got to earn it. If it was easy, everybody would do it,
Yep. Absolutely.
Every time he says it makes me a little happier.
Yeah.
It makes me know it's okay to have those down days.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. All right. So we do got to ask, we ask this of everybody, what is your definition of hustle?
The dance from the 70s. That's my favorite.
I like that.
Because I was there, and you guys, it's for you guys. You have to watch Saturday Night Fever to see it.
Yeah, I was born in '78, so yeah,
there you go. So, I don't know. Hustle to me is just, and it's funny because like I'm kind of hot and cold on Gary Vee. So like I used to know, like, because I worked for a local magazine here in New Jersey, his wine company was one of our advertisers. So at that store, I know the store. I've been in the store. I know. I used to watch him when he started with the videos with the Jets jerseys and the wine in his basement and all that. So I watched all that stuff, and then I watched him grow his company, everything. And to me, he said something on one of his videos that kind of like that to me, like really like honed in the essence of it. And he had some kid come up to him and say, well, how do I how do I, do my hustle? How do I grow my brand? And this is like to some 19-year-old kid. And he's like, grow your brand. He's like, just do the work, motherfucker. Just get in there, just do something. Don't worry about your brand. You don't have a brand. You got to do some work, and he starts explaining. He's like, I didn't just start this way. He goes, I've been doing this since the mid 90s, for 20 years or whatever it is now. So, that's it to me. It's just do the work, it's do the work. It's make the effort. It's, follow up, do what you say you're going to do. And, just don't stop, don't let anybody get you down or get in your way if you can avoid it. I know it's hard, but
it's amazing. You're our fifth guest, and I love everybody's answers. It's because it is what it is. There is no substitute for the work. There is no
Right.
substitute for doing the right thing, ever, no matter what. And that the military didn't beat that in. My dad beat that into my head, but the military kind of reinforced it, that it doesn't matter who's looking, you got to do the right thing.
Right.
And that means for your customers too.
Oh yeah.
Or your it could be doing the right thing is not bringing on a client that isn't a good fit.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Well, I've learned that the hard way too, and now I have a much stronger filter. So I don't want to work with jerks. I tell people, I did this so I don't have to wear a tie and so I don't have to work with assholes. And if I meet you and I'm talking and I'm asking you, a question about your business, and I ask you, well, how much is your digital business up versus last year? And you tell me, oh, it's up 35%. I said, well, that's pretty damn good. He goes, and the guy says to me, yeah, it's not enough. I'm not working with that guy because he's never, ever, ever going to be happy. And to me, it's not worth it. It's not why I did this. So
I can appreciate that. Anything else you want people to know about what you do? Is there something that people always fucking ask you that is just boggles your mind that they think that?
That's a good question. No, most people have no idea what I do. So, a lot of what I do in prospect meetings is spend a lot of time educating. That's my main focus, kind of talking about strategies and why things work and why things don't work. People have different levels of awareness of digital stuff. So, when you start getting into, they understand what a website is, they kind of understand social media, they more or less understand email, but anything beyond that gets very technical and most people don't even want to hear the details. If they're interested, I go through it with them, but I don't, I don't know that there's anything. Most of the questions I get are just, how does this work and how does that work and why is this happening and why is my competitor showing this on Google and I'm not getting that same thing? I'll say, well, because he has that on his website and you don't. I had a guy who had, I forget what they're called, but you ever see when Google shows like those white boxes and it's kind of I think it's called an answer box, actually. A lot of times you see them for Wikipedia. Like if you ask a question about a movie or something, it'll pop up there. So a client saw that on his competitor. And so I went to the guy's homepage and he had the answer with that, like he had put it at the top of the homepage and it was a definition of a term. And that was showing up in the search results. I said, well, you got to do that. what he's working. So, but there's so many, the big thing with us is like everything changes almost daily. It's really gotten that fast. It's insane. And so trying to keep up with that is still a challenge because you don't really know a lot of time until it's like a month later. So, and even then it's still people guessing.
How many prospects or clients have you gotten involved with that you get in and you realize they don't have a fucking sales process for the leads they are generating?
That can be an issue too. And that's something I haven't broached with anybody yet. But I have come across that. I try to, and I'm not a sales expert by any stretch. But what we do is when we do a lot of lead nurturing. So we're doing automation funnels and where we're offering different pieces of content, different parts of the buyer's journey. So usually our last piece of content in a marketing automation funnel is something around price. And that seems to really give very highly qualified leads. So it helps filter them, I think, for sure. But it also shows there's an indication that somebody's ready to buy. And the last decision everybody makes about every purchase is price. So if you go to, Dunkin' Donuts tomorrow morning to get your coffee and the coffee is $20, your problem is you want coffee. Dunkin' Donuts is your solution. That's your vendor. You've made that decision. Now you say, what the hell? It's $20. And you go to Starbucks or wherever, Quick Check or something. So when you can identify that, I think those leads become a lot more I know they become a lot more highly qualified and they're a lot easier to sell.
Nice. Ken, I've asked all the questions. Do you have anything tonight?
I know every time I got to chime in, you're like, oh, it's all right.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So I have one big question for you, and it's just something that I come across every so often, and I think it's hilarious. So you're talking about how that you're looking at, when you're talking to people, you're looking for, like, who are you trying to talk to?
Right.
How often do you hear people say, I want to talk to everyone? And how do you explain to them that they're not?
Well, first thing I say is if you target everyone, you get no one.
Yeah.
And I said it doesn't matter, and I usually use the example of like a pizza parlor, because that's a business that does have everyone as their prospect pretty much. But there are ways to, even in that situation, market to different people in different ways. So busy mothers have one need, a young single guy has another need. They all want pizza, but they want it for maybe not different reasons, but they have other factors going on in their life that make them targetable to different messaging. And yeah, exactly. So I always try to focus on problem solving, not just what my clients do, but what problem are they solving for their clients. So we like that, and that's why we like to follow, like, that HubSpot methodology is pretty good in terms of helping you build out those audiences and identify them. And they like to that you create a persona, put a picture with it, give it a name. So, like, for example, I have a client who's an architect, and 75% of the time he talks to the wife. And it's usually a woman in her 30s, 40s, kind of Han Solo with the boots and the vest and the white sleeves and the pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah.
Very, and you say, well, that's a little, I don't know, it's not prejudice, but you're being, what do they call that when you
stereotyping?
Stereotyping, yeah. So stereotyping. I said, but yeah, this is who his audience is. It's soccer moms, basically. So but knowing that, what we are doing is when we're doing our content, we're making sure we're not using like baseball metaphors. We're not painting the website with flowers, but we're also being aware of who our audience is. So, like, for him, one piece of the content that we did is how to convince your husband to add a master bathroom, And so it's a little sexist, I know, but it was kind of cheeky. It was a cheeky little article, and, it got a little traction, nothing crazy, but that was an example of, like, how we would make sure that we try to keep that stuff focused on the audience.
I like it. Yeah. I like the idea of naming them. I actually worked for Best Buy a really long time ago, at least it feels like now. And that was one of the weird things then. The stores had names because it was the layout had a name. Susan was interested in photos, so the camera department was further, closer to the front. And Chuck's more interested in TVs. And so I experienced a little bit of that then. And at the time, I thought they were idiots. I was like, you guys are way overthinking this. And, here I am as an adult marketing going, damn, you guys aren't idiots. You guys paid a couple $1 million for that. That was a good deal.
So when
Yeah.
are you guys going to start naming your departments at the store, at the dealership?
No, but I name campaigns. I name who we're talking to on campaigns all the time. And I don't communicate that. I'm like, hey, this one's for Chuck. I don't say that to anybody because they'll laugh at me. But in my head, I've got Chuck, I've got Susan, I've got Bobby. I mean,
Right.
I name them.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier to identify with it. It almost creates it as a real person. You can kind of think about them a little bit, and it really works in business too, in B2B, because you run into like if you sell like software for accounting departments, your CEO and your accounting director have completely different needs for that same piece of software, and so you need to know what those needs are and those problems, because you've got to be able to talk about those to attract that person. One of the challenges we run into with some clients is, well, yeah, okay, but I want to just talk. I would just want to rank for my product. I just want to rank for this, chair or this desk. That's what I want to rank for. I said, well, we also want to rank for restaurant design and seating layout and things that are related, because that's still your customer. We're not directly trying to sell them a chair in the blog post, but we are going to get that person to the website and then show him, the better prices and the quality and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, all the ancillary stuff does matter. You can't
It
just
adds up a
focus
lot.
on. You just can't focus. And yeah, I've seen that over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, it really adds up. And it, that's why when you're doing like SEO, the big broad keywords that have lots of search volume are often the hardest words to rank for. So sometimes it's easier to go after two smaller keywords that have a lot less competition, and you can move right up really quickly. Yeah. So like an example of that is like, take the term divorce lawyer. Crazy expensive in AdWords and very, very hard to rank for organically. So then we say, okay, well, what kind of divorce lawyer are you? Are you an aggressive lawyer who's going to put the screws to my ex? Are you a fast divorce lawyer? Are you a collaborative divorce lawyer? We're going to sit down and work things out nicely. What are those differentiators? And the good thing about those two, besides just being easier keywords to rank for, is that they're more targeted as to what you do exactly. So it's a much more qualified prospect, because if somebody wants an aggressive divorce lawyer and you want to do this, a whole kumbaya, let's talk it out and mediate it, there's a big difference between those two people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think when you have people because I mean, that to me, that requires some self-identification. Do you deal with a lot of people that really know who they are to know how to market themselves? Or is it you getting into like, okay, this is who you are. I've talked to you long enough. This is who I think you are.
Some do, some don't. Some need more help than others. Others have it really laid out. Others have done this kind of like audience work before with other consultants. And sometimes they'll hand us stuff and say, here, we have this. And I'm like, great, that's 90% of what we need to do on this part. Which is good, because it saves us a little bit of time, but we can add to it. The challenge is when somebody says the phrase, here's what I want to be found for, because they have no idea if that's a really good term. So if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I don't want to be perceived as a dog groomer, I want to be perceived as a poodle stylist. Well, I'm going to go and do keyword research and tell you that nobody ever searches for a poodle stylist. So if you want to be a poodle stylist, you're going to be one by yourself and with your poodle, because nobody's searching and is going to find you that way. So we have to talk about dog grooming, and we've got to talk about, all those things that go with it. So that can be challenging when they say, we want to be found for this. That's something I don't like to hear usually, and I usually try to talk them out of that. Unless it really, sometimes they really do know their stuff and, they've got it locked down. But a lot of times we have to show them the data. Numbers usually are a good persuader for pretty much any argument.
If
we call that documentation over confrontation.
Yeah, unless they don't believe the numbers, then you got a whole nother issue.
That's a whole nother like level of obstacle there.
That's New Jersey Don coming in.
Yeah, that's when I pull numbers from Google and somebody says they don't believe them. I'm like, well, you can look in your Google Analytics and see them.
Yeah. Well, I'm all SEO'd out. I mean, SEO and content marketing is so fucking broad.
It is. But if you just think like we were talking before about your prospects and their questions and their problems, you do that and you'll be way ahead of 99% of the people out there. And if you get good content and you share it and people see it and people will link to it, and all those things together will help your site rank better.
Well, that's like that ad I was telling you about in the pre-show. That'd get great.
That would get a lot of attraction, I think.
It would get a ton of attraction. Not the positive kind. But
no, not the kind you actually want.
No.
No, but there is something said about negative traction still traction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. That's so risky to me,
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything like that was attached to anything that anybody could find of me. Something like that I wouldn't. It'd be like the dude that started BuzzFeed had a couple of really off the wall websites at first. I can't remember. One of them was what the hell is it? It wasn't very I gotta look it up.
That's right. And then, so just to clue in everybody that's watching, the ad we're talking about, I'm not going to give details, but let's just say Nick's going to go to some sensitivity training tomorrow. Because he wasn't being very kind in his marketing messages. Hey, so that's where this conversation comes from. It was Nick being a dick like normal. Would not work with Nick. Or Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd pass on that.
It's all right, Don. You probably pass on me too. It's okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay to be provocative. I think it just there's so many different ways stuff like that can backfire on you.
Oh yeah.
And especially now with, everybody instantly reacts to everything the second they hear it on Twitter and Facebook and everything. It's just not worth it.
No, it's not.
See, personally, we love the pissing matches. We love, but that's part. So I'm car industry 90% of the time. So we spend so much time fighting each other because it's the his versus her BS.
Right.
We love pissing matches. It's some of our favorite stuff. And sometimes I have to be like, hey, I'm not getting into this pissing match, but we can get into this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to, when I first got out of college, I used to write commercials for radio. So I used to work with a lot of different car dealers.
Yeah.
So I did promise the Entrepreneur Roundtable a story. So yesterday I'm in credit repair, so I call loan officers. That's the majority of what my day is spent. And I pulled up a cold list. Didn't even think to take Houston out of my call list. Didn't even think about it. Nobody got mad, but I was like, fuck.
Yeah. We had we had a similar issue actually today. And Anna, who works for me, we were doing some calls to a client's clients to do some, research on what they would ask for if they didn't know them, that kind of stuff, and all like kind of SEO questions. And she said to me, "Oh, some of these are in Houston. You want me to avoid those?" I was like, "Yeah, thank God you thought of that because I didn't."
No, the couple loan officers I talked to, because I wasn't even paying attention, and the way HubSpot's set up, I don't sort by, because I call all over the country. I don't sort them. I don't sort my queue by city or state. I just call whatever's next in the list.
Right. Right.
Today, I was pre-checking the area codes.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if there's even phone service down there. Like, could you even get through at this point?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. There was cell, but yeah.
Huh.
The two people I called were calling, but
Huh.
yeah. So that was my story with Houston that I promised the roundtable.
Huh. That's interesting.
Always be aware of, if you're in phone sales, be aware of your of natural disasters.
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah.
It's almost you gotta be almost it's you gotta be aware of what's going on in the world in general, because I don't know that we've had. I mean, we have heat. I mean, that's just. I mean, we do, but like you've always got to be mindful of what's going on in the world right now, because it's at the same time. I'm not going to put tiki torches in anything right now either.
That'd be a good ad.
I thought I saw something, maybe it was on Reddit today, where it was Kylie, is that Kylie Jenner? Is that the Pepsi commercial?
Yeah,
they had her floating on a kayak with a Pepsi.
Yeah. I saw her on a giant like that giant rubber duck.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, the swan. It was on the swan, the floaty thing.
Yeah.
It was like,
I saw that. That was, yeah.
Too funny.
I think you should have a tiki torch ad, Ken.
Nope, not touching that. And if my owner's watching this, I'm not
it's just in jest.
Oh.
You could sell tiki torches to Trump supporters. You could target them on Facebook. Maybe they're having this summer party or something. I don't know.
This line, I'm not crossing it. That's the tiki torch line.
Guess what ad is going up on Hustle Condition tomorrow?
And so that being said, Hustle Condition news, because we have big news this week. So our group that's tagged to the page is now called Hustle Labs, and that's where we're going to do all of the think tank shenanigans of people that actually need help with their small business and have specific questions.
Oh, cool.
We swear we're here to help people and not just drink.
Yeah, Hustle Labs. What Ken and I talked about, we want to bring on an entrepreneur or have them ask a question, and we'll bring on a specialist in that industry and solve their problem in the show.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great idea.
We want to do that once a month. Not just having entrepreneurs on, but having a problem solved. Because if one person has it, thousands of people have it.
Yeah, sure. Problem. Would you do like a panel of people to help, or is it just going to be you guys doing it?
A panel. I'd like to have at least a person who specializes. If somebody's website is just fucked with SEO,
right?
Bring somebody in like you who can say this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of we made a software change 3 weeks ago now, 2 weeks ago.
3.
Okay, 3, sure. And part of that was so we can bring in an additional, so we can have 4 people on, and you can basically have our entrepreneur that needs help, our specialist, and then the 2 of us. I mean, and the other side of it is if we've also kicked around doing the Ask Gary Vee style of, hey, send us questions that are related to this, and we're going to bring on that specialist. So like if somebody's got, like if we have 10 SEO questions, we can bring you on and we can hit you with product specific. Sure. How do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? It's just it will be its own kind of show that we're just going to kind of work into things. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I would definitely do that if you guys need help with this. So you just holler. Cool. I'll be. Yeah.
Appreciate it. And it's anything. I mean, accounting. If it's I know accountants. We can get them on. I might have to bribe them to get them on video. But, yeah. I mean, if it's my WordPress site sucks, what do I fix it? Well, Clay's our WordPress guy.
Right.
Somebody's having inbound lead generation. We got Todd or you or
Yeah.
if
Yeah, I have some
social
accounting
media
questions.
sucks. And it's the first time I went to college, that was my major.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was accounting when I first started too.
Yeah, then I wanted to blow my brains out. And I was like, no, I don't want to do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I found it easy, but I also found it boring as hell.
Yeah.
I still don't know. I still probably don't know everything I need to know about my accounting. Like I know how much money we make. I know, what my expenses are and those things, but I don't know so, what should your net profit margin be? And, I know that varies by business and everything. And what are the metrics that companies should look at and really track? Like, is gross sales is obviously top line, but, what should be the percentage of cost of goods sold versus sales and, those kind of things. I have no idea.
If we have a CPA watching, are you catching the show later? Let us know.
Yeah.
There's a comment section. Please feel free to answer our questions.
Yep. So yeah, there used to be a podcast that I listened to religiously from Pat Flynn and Chris Ducker called One Day Business Breakthrough. They did something similar where an entrepreneur recorded a question, they picked this question, and they once a week or once every 2 weeks, they did a show and they solved that problem on the show.
Ah, well, that's cool.
So I think there's something.
Is that something you're doing now? Because I haven't seen that one.
It hasn't started. We conversed and named and put puppies on our little group and everything this week, and it really kind of came to fruition of some aspects of going from an idea to a concept to a living, breathing thing that now we just need the entrepreneur that needs help and the specialist.
So with the group, how are you? Is it an open group? Is it a closed group? Or
it's a closed group so people can ask questions without having to worry about the world seeing them.
So how do you let me ask you this. How do you recruit for a closed group, like with Facebook? I'm not really, I use some of the groups like the Roundtable, but I've never run one.
So the neat part about a closed group is realistically, it's still searchable, it's still findable. You just can't see what's in it unless you're in it.
Okay.
You can even see who's in it, and like there's a description to the group, and so you can see the description to the group while it's closed. So that's it is searchable. There's also an aspect where we can drop links and do all of that stuff too, and it is connected to the page, so there's actually a connection there as well. So it helps.
So you just going word of mouth for now? Are you going to do advertising? Are you going to
word of mouth,
referrals,
push people from this, referrals? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the idea is a big aspect of we kind of want it, and it doesn't need to be people we know, but at least within the circle of influence. So Matt Cron said he just added a bunch of people, so stuff like that, where Matt knows these people and these people have these questions, they can come into this group and we can kind of go from there, if that makes sense. And there's a couple different reasons why I prefer to be that way. One, if they don't know anybody, it increases our chance of adding them and it just being spam.
Yeah. There's nothing more annoying than that.
Well, and I wanted to have the same vibe that Roundtable does, as far as don't come in and fucking spam us.
Right.
Don't fucking just come in and post your shit every fucking 3 days.
There's a lot of people in that group that never are in there or are not active.
Yeah.
I was looking at that the other day.
Yep.
Well, and there's an aspect to every group that, lurkers exist. It is part of just the way some people are online. My middle brother is the product definition of a lurker. He likes to be in things, see things, but he doesn't need to say anything.
Right.
I am not that guy. I'm like, oh, hey, I can answer this question, or hey, how you doing?
Right.
I am that guy. That's why Nick waited so long to put me in the Entrepreneur Roundtable, because he's like, hey, You're kind of talkative. Let's slow you down.
So he hamstrung you.
Yeah, hey. But so there's an aspect of lurkers. There are going to be people in there that are viewing the content. They're contributing in the aspect that they're taking from it and actually putting it into the world. But you don't even know that they're actually there. And then there's people that join groups and basically don't exist. And I don't get that either. But it is part of the equation as well. So
yeah,
I like monthly go through my groups and go, I don't need to be in this fucking group.
yeah, I'm not in that many. A handful.
So my favorite thing is to go look at groups and look at all of the list of the ones I've been added to that I don't know anybody in. I'm like, how did I even get added to this?
Yeah.
But
that's my second least favorite thing about Facebook is getting fucking added to groups.
Yeah.
We all know my first.
Yes.
Liking stuff?
Asking me to fucking like your shit after I've never even talked to you. That just bugs me. I know it's irrational, but...
So let me tell you this. I accept every LinkedIn invitation I get. Every...
Dude.
Yep.
Are you just trying to break LinkedIn?
That, and I also just love watching people just try to sell me cold. It's so much fun. Every once in a while, if I'm in a pissy mood, I'll call them out on it and say, dude, we don't even know each other, and you're trying to sell me shit over Messenger. I mean, come on.
So Nick actually wrote a LinkedIn article about how, it was like your email sucks. And
Yeah.
So I actually keep that dude in queue. And every time LinkedIn gives me, I get one of those vendors that pop up. And in fairness, I don't do it to all of them because I have a lot of vendors that try to get a hold of me, and I can be evasive. I'm being honest about that. I had one current vendor who I think he said he called me 15 times before he went to LinkedIn. That's fair. At that point, you go to LinkedIn, I will always respond. It's a disease. But so I get so many vendors that reach out through LinkedIn that just cold pitch, first message, not, hey, do you do this? Hey, in your profile, nothing. Just, This is what you should buy it. And so I just send the link, and I'm like, here, I think you need this.
Yeah. Well,
I hope they love the finger bang reference.
Well, it's once that's funny. Once they made the messenger the advertising, it's like now everybody who connects with you sends you this ad, their messenger ad.
Right. And I'm just like, I accept everybody, but I also go back into the world and I just try to connect with everybody. And I do that for a couple different reasons. One of my favorite things to do, because I'm in a really diverse industry, is I like following all these car guys from all over the country.
Right.
And the auto industry is traditionally a bunch of ego mongers. I don't know any of these guys that are like that by any means. Yeah. But so I love all of the egos colliding on LinkedIn too. I think
really? Nice.
There's an aspect of entertainment to me where I just scroll through and you'll get GMs that are in different parts of the country that are like, I've got the best Ford store. No, I've got the best Ford store. And I'm just like, none of you probably have the best Ford store. That's that dude way over there that's being quiet.
Plus, how different are car dealerships? I mean, really, they have the same cars, the same prices,
Well, and so that right there is our biggest obstacle. It's you can go in this market alone. I want to say there's 12 Ford dealers. So you can go 12 places and buy a brand new Ford. So you have to set yourself apart from everybody else some way, somehow. And that's where my job gets fun and exciting. But there's so many of these guys that have no interest in being different, no interest in being exciting, they just, hey, we're car guys, we're car guys, we're car guys, we're car guys. And I'm going to talk trash on LinkedIn and I'm just go,
right.
I like it.
I'm going to start something new. I'm going to start accepting anybody on LinkedIn except for technology recruiters. Fuck them.
Buddy, they're some of the funniest. Come on.
Oh fuck, they're terrible. Like I quit IT. I'm no longer in IT. I had a dude send me a job description for a help desk job that's 2.5 hours away. I was like, did you? And he's from New Jersey, so I know he didn't even fucking know how big Iowa is.
Right. No clue.
It's not very big. It's just a couple farms, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
But
dude, it's on the other. This is on the other side of the state. This isn't New Jersey.
right. I still get emails from resumes that I put out 5 years ago. Like from online people go, "Oh, I saw your resume on Monster." I'm like, "What?"
It's gotten to the point to where I'm almost ready to remove my IT job, my last IT job from my resume. The other ones are old enough to where they're not really, they don't show up because they're more than 5 years ago.
Is there that much of a shortage of IT guys?
No, but the technology recruiters just, that's all they like. My job title was technically IT manager.
Huh.
And that they look for that, and it's just fucking drives me insane.
Hmm.
I had one guy said, "Don't call me unless the job is $75 an hour." Period. Don't ever call me again unless it's 75 an hour.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. For 40 hour guaranteed 40 hours for a 3-year contract or something like that. It was stupid. I was just like, stop calling me.
Set the bar high, right?
Yeah. But I'm gonna start because I don't like LinkedIn.
I don't either. The ads don't work.
No, I hoped Microsoft would fix it, but I think they're just gonna make it suck like they did Skype.
Hey, they're adding video service, and I'm excited about that. Except for the fact that it's to a bunch of people talk that I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, and they're 10-minute max, and I don't think, and they don't have live.
Yeah, the live I think will be it's coming. Microsoft's got to catch up, and they will catch up. I still think it's a good buy for them. I still think they're going to do cool stuff. I am hopeful for LinkedIn. All of that being said, though, I'm also realistic. It is LinkedIn.
You mean like LinkedIn advertising on Facebook?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's LinkedIn and it's Microsoft. Bill Gates has a special place in my heart. I love the Xbox, but Microsoft in general, it's just not what it was in the past.
Well, because they haven't innovated anything in forever.
Nope.
You know, I mean, how many times can you change Office?
You can make it downloadable, but require it to have an internet connection to work.
Yeah, they've done that.
Office 365.
It sucks so bad, and I love Excel. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's.
We were talking about Google Sheets, right? Were you in that conversation?
Yeah.
Which they've gotten better, but you're right. They're not as good as Excel. Not even close.
So, and I love Google Docs. Word documents are hard to really mess up. That's why, like, we talk about how many times can you update Word. It's irrelevant. I love Google Docs because I love the fact I can have 6 people on it at once.
Yep.
My struggle with Excel to Sheets is I just know how Excel works, and every time I get in Sheets, I try to go do something, and it doesn't work the way Sheets or Excel does, and I go, nope, go in Excel. Forget this. Delete. Go. Gone. Done. Go away.
There's a couple of instances that Sheets is better, but for the most part, if it's any decent amount of data, I hate Google Sheets. It's slow. It's sluggish. I can't. The pivot table, the last time I tried to use it, I almost threw a monitor.
Wow, you really love pivot tables, huh?
It's the easiest way to sort a shit ton of data.
See, and you say it like you don't throw monitors. I mean, I know you do, so let's not act like it takes a lot to get you to throw one.
Not anymore because they're expensive. Like, I have to buy them.
Fair. All right, fair.
And like back when there were CRTs, you could cause damage with one if you threw it. You didn't just break this monitor, you broke a wall or a desk.
Yeah, right. Dented the roof of a car outside.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Don,
All right,
we
guys.
took up an hour tonight.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on the show. I had a lot of fun. I think we've had fun with everybody. I think this is a good format that I think we're going to have a lot of fun with.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in last minute, especially. We
No
appreciate
problem.
it.
Yep.
Sarah Moore.